Welcome. I'm Cheryl Mitchell, the president of Trellivan Inc. We're a retreat and learning center that's located on a sheep farm here in Addison County. And we're very interested in exploring the relationships between spirit, nature, and social justice. So it's been a wonderful opportunity for us to be partnering with Growing Bright Futures and Let's Grow Kids here in Addison County to really explore the ways in which our communities support families with young children. And I'm thrilled that today our guest is Eliza Eaton, who was the founder and currently the CEO of minibury.com. So welcome, Eliza. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'm wondering if you could start just by telling us what Minibury is.
Sure. Very long story short, Minibury is a website. It's based in Addison County for families. It's a place where a parent, a caregiver, a grandparent might go to find out what's happening over the weekend or what's an after-school activity that their children might be interested in or children that they watch might be interested in. And that's kind of where it started.
Okay. How about the long story then?
The long story,
why
sure.
Why did you move here? Why did you decide to do this?
Sure. So, the very long story is that originally I was a mom I now have 3 kids. At the time, I had 2 kids under 2, and I didn't really have time to go walk around the grocery store and look at the poster boards or go to, I don't know, wherever all the information is. And I hadn't lived here forever. I've only been here, my husband and I both went to Middlebury College, but we moved away. He grew up here. I didn't grow up here. So I didn't have it's an event that's been happening for the past 30-year knowledge that many of our events are sort of based upon.
Yeah.
So as a mom, especially with 2 kids and no time, I thought, can't there just be a central source of information where all this event and activity and classes information could be stored?
What a cool idea. And nobody had done it. Right?
And no one had done it, yeah. So, and specifically to, it sort of started with the Middlebury community, but a local source of information, where to go. So that's where it started. And that was, like I said, 3.5 years ago. And over the past 3.5 years, it's just grown organically. So its followers have grown organically. People are starting to rely upon it more and more. I hear more stories of parents who have just moved to the area who say, "Oh, thank God for your site. I don't know what I would have done. I didn't know what to do with my kids."
Yeah.
And thanks for putting all that information together for us.
How do people find out about the site?
Unfortunately, word of mouth, which is kind of silly, I realize. But yeah, generally speaking, word of mouth. But it's now, at this point, kind of growing into places like you'll find my link on the Ilsley website, or you'll find a link on the Experience Middlebury page. And right now I'm working with all the SUs in the area to try to get links out to all the parents on the bottom of their e-newsletters for each week that go home.
Nice.
So hopefully it'll stop being word of mouth quite as much.
So you had mentioned that the startup was a little bit frustrating, the period.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us about that?
Sure. Yeah, so I can kind of blame it on one event, and I won't say, whose event it was, but there was a carnival in town, and I had 2 young kids, and I just happened to drive by the carnival, and I thought, I have 2 young kids, how can I not know that this was happening? And then I tried to find out what the hours were, and I couldn't figure it out anywhere. Nowhere. I looked on every board in town. I called the newspaper. I called the school. I called everybody. And I couldn't figure it out. I had to drive physically into the carnival to find out what time they were open and find somebody.
Wow.
And I thought, it can't be that much work.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be that hard for a parent to figure out how to take their kid to a carnival. And sort of made me realize the flip side of that was, if a parent is having to work that hard, then whatever this event is, they must not be making enough to cover their costs of holding an event if it's so hard for a family to actually get to that event because they don't know about it. So wouldn't a place where all these resources were benefit both sides of the equation, both the event holder and the parent? And that's what has grown organically and has gotten to the point where community groups are recognizing the value that, oh, we can connect with that really hard to reach target audience, those parents who are difficult to reach.
So are you from a tech background? What was it like for you setting up a website? How did that work?
No, it's been a lot of my own learning. I was in school. I had art and architecture background, so that has very little to do with what I do now. And then I decided I want to be a teacher, so I went and got a master's degree in elementary education. So that does tie in a bit more. But I then pretty quickly realized I didn't love classroom teaching. I really enjoyed working one-on-one with students and tutoring and coaching, but the classroom wasn't for me. So this tech world was just new, but really fun. So I enjoy it. I like learning the code. I like learning how the site works and how to figure out problems when they arise. So, yeah.
But it's a .com,
It's
right?
a .com. Yep.
So how do you finance it? It's not a nonprofit, and how did you choose to have it be not a nonprofit?
So, great question. I sort of looked at it for about 3 years as just a project that I was working on. And because it started out of my own frustration, it seemed like my own project that was just helping me and my family. And then once it sort of grew to the point where it felt I couldn't let it go without affecting people within the community, then I thought, oh, now it's time that I think I need to turn this into an actual business. So that's where I'm at right now. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that, how to make that switch from just a community endeavor to a place where local businesses can do advertising, or I can sort of find underwriters or sponsors. So that's a work in progress.
So
right
that's
now.
a work in progress right
So
now.
yes, I don't have a good direct answer to that, but I'm working on it.
Well, it also sounds as if people are using it or aware of it now, not just as here's the events coming up, but Dr. Brakely mentioned it as it's becoming a repository for parenting information and child development information. And I'm wondering, was that intentional on your part, or is that just also happening organically?
A little both. So always my kind of one area I wanted to move away from with my site has always been I didn't want it to be about me. I didn't want it to be a little story about my kids and my family and what was going on with me. It's always had the intention.
Which it would have been if it were a blog or something?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
If it had been a blog, it would have been more fallen into the category of a mommy blog, which is kind of a technical term for anyone writing about their own experiences with their kids, which is great and has its place and is a wonderful asset. I read plenty of them. But it's just not what I wanted to do. I wasn't comfortable putting my kids' lives or my own life out there. But the flip side of that was that I wanted there to be a place where we could really know our community and experience our community, and get the word out about what was happening. It just seemed like a really nice two-way street. Like if we could have more people showing up at, I don't know, the library yoga classes, then maybe the library yoga classes might inspire the yoga teacher to teach somewhere else. And so just keeping the vibrancy in our community going. So that's why it has all the other resources. So that was originally part of the idea, and then that morphed because I've been building more networks with folks like Dr. Jody Brakely. It's now housing more resources for families. So becoming a place where families can really find expert data for their families. It's not just about me.
So are you linked to 211? I wonder if a parent called 211 and said, "Hey, what's going on in my community?" Would they send that parent to you?
So potentially, eventually. That's part of, I've been working really closely with Building Bright Futures and Integrated Family Services to work out those kind of kinks, to work on how do we kind of network together to make those types of connections happen. So all the local preschool information on universal preschool and what's happening with.
So
how do
you could
access-
explain universal preschool to somebody
No.
who no.
No, but if you go to my site, you can find out all the information that you need to know as a parent about how do you enroll your kids in preschool and how do you access the funding that is available, and what school districts and what local preschools are accepting those that funding. So no, me personally, I can't explain it.
But you could. But
I
your
can
site would
direct
have
you.
enough information that people could
Exactly.
figure it out or figure out who to call.
Exactly. So all
So
that.
what about
is
something
there.
like we talked with Sadie a couple of weeks ago at the Middlebury Community Music Center? So would that kind of information be
Absolutely.
available?
Yep. So they there's a spot on my site that has resources for after-school activities. Right now they're broken down in seasonally. So there's a place for fall after-school activities, and Middlebury Community Music Center falls under that category. So they're there, and they're a really fun story because they're a similar story to Middlebury, that they saw a need and they filled it, and they're doing so well. So I'm so excited for
It's
them.
just the whole vibrancy of this community. It feels as if lots of people like you and Sadie are stepping forward and making changes or making things come alive
Yeah, and that's
exciting
been,
ways.
Yeah, that's been part of what Middlebury has done, is opened up a lot of those doors for me into the community, which I didn't feel were possible before. And Sadie's a really fun story because I actually happened to sit on the community house board, and so I was part of being able to say, this is something our community really needs and we should get behind her. Because I knew, having talked to parents and having run Middlebury, that was a need that our community needed. So that was, for me, a little kind of like, yes, we did it. And having just a music together class had always been on my bucket list of things our community should have.
Yeah.
And didn't, and now we do.
So how did you come up with your bucket list of things a community should have for families with young kids?
But I don't know. That's just things that I wanted. No, I think it's all stemmed from my own personal experience. And with my educator background, I know that ways in which, getting your kids out, music, super important. Reading, literacy, very, very important. Anything you can do with your kids 0 to 5 is going to make your life and your kids' life better. So things like music together are just part of the bucket list of wanting to be a part of.
So did you grow up in a community that was really richly endowed with activities
I did.
for families with young kids? Where was that?
I grew up in Bedford, New York. And I would say, though, my experience was a little bit different. We weren't as engaged with my community. We were very engaged with my school community. So I don't actually have a lot of experience with small town living, which is kind of, I was just talking about this the other night. It's really different, and I really love it. I think it's what makes Middlebury really special and makes Addison County really special, is that there is so much community togetherness and sort of making sure that all of our kids are taken care of happens. So I like it.
It's nice to hear you say that. I mean, people sometimes talk about this dream of everybody in a community feeling as if the children are our children.
Sure.
And I think many of us have read Robert Putnam's work about how that used to be the case, and it's not the case most places anymore. And I'm happy to hear you say that it feels that way here.
Yeah, it does. And I think, you go to a community event like last weekend or 2 weekends ago, Very Merry Middlebury's kickoff weekend, and downtown it was just hopping. There were little kids everywhere. There's parents everywhere. All the shops were out open, and it's just really exciting to see.
Yeah.
But Virgins did one too, and they had a great turnout as well. So, but as many parents can attest to, they can easily miss that stuff, and you just kind of get stuck in your little routine at home, and you don't make the effort to get out. So part of what Middlebury aims to do is get families out the door, and to say, look at what we have right in front of us. Let's go out and enjoy it. And so that's part of my mission for.
It also sounds
Mayberry.
as if you're, to some extent, like the new needs assessment for places like, I'm just guessing, for Head Start and Parent-Child Centers and other people that are trying to start new programs. Do you have a sense of, can they contact you and say, hey, what's needed here, or?
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I would be comfortable saying I've got the answers to everything. No, not particularly. And I think there's, but yeah, they can contact me. Sure.
So are all of our child care programs, for example, listed on Miniberry?
So-
Family homes and centers and?
So that's the next place where Miniberry's going. So right now, like I said, the preschool information is there. The developmental milestones that Dr. Brakely might have talked about,
Yeah.
those are all there. The resources for after-school programs and summer programs and summer camps are there. And my next big project is daycare centers. All the school information, so all the SUs where you know, if you live here, you end up here, which is a little bit into the preschool information is actually there.
Yeah.
But just all those, making sure the parents can come to Miniberry and then go out and figure out where they're going to get to where they need to be on the internet. So accessing all the school information as well. So
there must be a pile of links.
There's a pile of links. There are hundreds of links on Miniberry. And actually most of those daycare providers are already on there on the preschool page.
Yeah.
But they will end up having their own page.
Okay. So I've also heard, I think from Dana, that you're thinking about, right now it's pretty much focused on families with young kids, and you're thinking about expanding to families with
Yep.
older children?
Yes. So part of moving forward is going from kind of my own personal experience, which is 0 to 6, and moving on to 0 to, you know, eventually the goal would be 0 to 22, like right through youth and transition. And those are some projects that are in the works that I can't really say are officially going to happen, but I'm really hopeful that there'll be a lot more information there for teens and families with older kids. Because a lot of families have, you know, a 4-year-old, a 7-year-old, a 12-year-old, and a 15-year-old. So
Right.
you need a lot of different information.
Yeah.
So yes, that
So
is
this
the
sounds like
ultimate
more
goal.
than a full-time job. How do you, you've got 3 young kids, right?
I
How do
do.
you manage all this?
As best I can.
Yeah.
Yes. So I'm very lucky. I have one child in kindergarten. He goes to Weybridge Elementary, and then my other 2 go to daycare 3 days a week. And then we're doing it kind of the old-fashioned model. Grandma watches our kids a lot. My husband steps up when he can. He works from home as well, so his schedule is pretty flexible. So yeah, it takes a village. And we have very nice neighbors who have great daughters, and they come over and watch our kids a lot. So that's how I manage.
And it also sounds as if you're sitting on a fair number of groups that you go to the Building Bright Futures meetings, that
do.
you're on the community house.
Yep.
Can you tell us how you chose where to be and
Sure.
what else you're doing?
So one of the things that Miniberry has done for me personally has been to open up sort of myself to the community, which is great because I didn't know how to access it before. I was at home with 2 kids and I just didn't know how to get out in the community, and now I'm on the Porter Medical Center Auxiliary Board. I'm on the Community House Board, and like you said, I sit with some of the youth educators in town as well. The hospital board is probably my personal favorite right now.
Really? That seems like sort of a different world. Maybe it's not.
It is, but it's so, for me, it's such an obvious connection. I've been to the ER 3 times. I go to the doctor at least once a month with one of my 3 children. And if Porter and I've had 2 babies at Porter and 3 surgeries. So I use it a lot, and we would be kind of lost without that community resource. So yeah, for me, it's an easy sell. But yeah, I enjoy all the boards that I sit on right now.
So I'm wondering, this is such a wonderful resource for this community, the Addison County community,
Mm-hmm.
or first for Middlebury, but now it sounds like it's
Yes,
Addison County.
We're growing, and just despite the name, it still is for Addison County. Yes.
And do you? It sounds like something that would be fabulous. I just go back to the beginning of our conversation when you were talking about walking around in the grocery store with two
Mm-hmm.
kids and trying to find the posters about what to do.
Mm-hmm.
How wonderful it would be if other communities had something like this. Are you working with people in other parts of the state? Are you thinking about expanding to other parts of the state?
So, no is a very short answer.
Okay.
I've thought about it. I just don't, like you said, I don't have time management to grow that idea that far. You know, maybe in a future life, maybe when my kids are all in school 5 days a week, that would be an idea. But for right now, it's just local, and I'm happy with that. So.
If somebody wanted to call you and just get some advice about how to start something similar for
Yes.
their own town, would that
Yeah.
be
That has
acceptable?
happened, yes.
It has happened.
Has happened a lot. And I get a lot of calls for people who are wondering how to set up their own websites for their own groups. And so I do consulting work like that. And I'm happy to do it and happy to talk about how you can start getting your message out to other people. So yeah, those are things that I do as well. Other jobs.
So this is it's not unrelated, but I used to work at the Parent Child Center, and one of the founding board members was Max Eaton. Are you
I
in
am
some ways
not connected.
not connected to Max
not
Eaton?
Related.
Just thought I needed to
It's
check. In a
the-
small community,
I-
sometimes.
Yes, my husband's family has been here for decades, and that is the other Eaton
The other
family.
Eatons. Okay, great. So we're going to run out of time, but I'm wondering if there are things that you wanted to convey that I haven't asked about.
Oh, well, yeah, like you said, there's so many resources on Miniberry. It's not just an events calendar. We've touched on some of them, but some of our most popular ones are the summer camp guide and the summer camp calendar, which are highly important for families. And this will be my first summer actually with a child who's not in daycare all summer. So I will be joining the ranks of families who are, trying to piecemeal together a summer program, and it's really hard. So there are a lot of great resources for that on Miniberry. But yeah, it's a really, and Facebook and Twitter, follow us. We have lots of
Really?
social media outreach as well.
Great. So your contact information will come up in a minute. Thank you. Thank you so much for both
Yeah, thank you.
creating this and for taking the time to come and talk with us about it.
Thank you. It was fun.
Okay, good. So in just a minute, both the Miniberry website will come up and also Eliza's contact information. And we're so grateful that she took the time. I hope people will check it out right away. We also wanted to thank Middlebury Community Access Television for doing this show for us. They are another wonderful way of getting information out there to the world. So if you have ideas about things you'd like to learn about in the early childhood world, you could let me or Dana Anderson know. But if your own nonprofit wants to get some information out to the world, just call Kurt Broderson, who's putting on this show for us, or Dick Thodall at the station, and let them know. And thanks for watching.